Hello, and welcome to the Desire of Horror podcast, the show where we review horror movies and discuss what these films say about the nature of human desire. I'm Charla, and with me always is Marty. How are you
Hey,
doing today,
Shar.
Marty?
I'm great.
Hey,
And you?
I'm doing good. Doing
Oh, good,
great.
good.
And we have a special guest with us today, our returning visitor, our returning guest, Andrea, your sister's joining us.
Hi,
Absolutely.
thanks
Yeah.
for having me again, guys.
Yeah.
All right, let's get started. So, this evening we are going to talk about 2018's Annihilation.
All right.
Um, so just want to go around, get your guys's just preliminary first thoughts on this film. Andrea, we'll start with you because this was your first time seeing this movie. Is that correct?
That is right. Yes, for my first time. I actually even commented to my husband about this that at the end of the movie, I was like, I don't know if I like that or not. It took me
Wow.
a second, like, to really
Yeah.
think about it. It wasn't like an immediate reaction of, was that something I loved or not? And then I, mulled on it. And actually, I liked it a lot more after I did some research for the
Hmm.
podcast too. So then I started
Yeah.
like teasing out some of the themes and that kind of thing. So
Right.
I
Right.
would say my first reaction was like confused.
Really? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I can see
yeah.
that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Marty, you're next because you are an expert in this film because not only have you seen this movie before, but you've read the book, right?
Yeah, it's part of well, it was originally a trilogy, very long one. And Annihilation is just the first part.
Okay.
And yeah, I've read all of them though. The only thing I haven't read is there was another one that came out in 2017 that was kind of like a prequel, which is I don't know, sounds like kind of a typical move, but I've heard that it's actually very good to the thing. But anyways, I really love the book and the whole trilogy, and I really love the movie. So I yeah, confusion is definitely appropriate since there's all this fusion of gene and very confusing results. Gene sequences and whatnot, the
Yeah.
refractory patterns of coding or something like that. So
Lots of
yeah,
mutating,
lots of
mutating everywhere.
Yeah.
mutating. Yeah, for sure.
Yes. A lot of refracting, a lot of mutating. Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm. How about you,
Uh,
Shar?
s- this is the second time I've seen this movie. The first time I actually watched it with Marty, but I've heard about this movie for years. Just never got an opportunity to watch it, and I didn't really consider it like a horror film.
Hmm.
I definitely think it falls in the realm of more of a sci-fi horror, but because we are talking about things in nature, I also think it fits in this category of nature horror as well. But no, I absolutely love this movie. It's very high on my list. I yeah, it's a great film. Really good.
There's some debate I saw. Well, actually, I don't know how much of a debate, but I would say most people call it cosmic horror because
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
got
I could see
that
that.
H.P. Lovecraft, the
Right.
color of what was it? What's that H.P. Lovecraft thing called? The
The
color
color
of
out of space. The color out of
yeah,
space.
right. Where like it lands like kind of meteor right and like creates a zone of weirdness
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
whatever. So,
Yeah.
but I do think it totally fits with nature because it's all about nature, like
Yeah, it
the
is, right.
inner workings of nature. So yeah, we're doing nature horror. So yeah, I'm with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it would have fit good in sci-fi horror as well, or cosmic horror, like you said.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Sci-fi.
it's genre crossing, right?
Yeah.
All right. So we'll get started. Release date of this film is February 23rd, 2018. It's directed by Alex Garland. I don't know if you guys are familiar with his work, but he directed Ex Machina from 2014 and 2024 Civil War, which was an excellent movie. I don't know, Andrea, have you seen that film? Have you seen Civil War?
I have not. I heard it was really good though.
It is really
Yeah.
good. If you get an opportunity, definitely watch
Mhm.
it. Ex Machina was, in my opinion, it was okay. Marty, have you seen you've seen that one too, right?
Yeah, no, I thought it was good too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
pretty interesting AI sort of themes in that one,
yeah, yeah,
for sure. And Civil
yeah,
War, yeah, I really enjoyed that, especially since the soundtrack was so badass for Civil War. Suicide
yeah, it
was the
was.
band. They had it totally cranked in the theater. I was like, wow, this
Yeah,
sounds incredible. Like dudes on like horrible late 70s synthesizers and drum machines. Because that's when Suicide was making their music, and it just sounded incredible. So
yeah,
anyway,
yeah, yeah.
I reanimated my fanship. But anyways, let's not talk about things that
So
are
I'm
not
not
on
talking
topic.
about
Yeah,
So
suicide.
did
yeah,
Alex Garland, did he also do like 28 days, I think?
So
Um,
he did. I think he was a writer on 28 Days, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah,
okay.
yeah, he's part of that. That was primarily a Danny Boyle film,
Mm,
but Alex Garland did help write parts of that. Yeah. Yeah, and Alex Garland also did the screenplay. He wrote the screenplay for this movie because this movie, like we said, is based on
right.
a novel by the same name by Jeff Vandermeer.
Uh-huh.
So, uh,
Yeah, he
and this
said
movie's
that he
go
didn't
ahead.
want to redo it exactly.
yeah.
He said he read it one time and then he supposedly got permission from Jeff Vandermeer once they bought the thing from him. Just decided not to read it again and he just wanted to go for the feeling
Yeah.
of what he got when he was reading the book originally. And it is a very cool book because I did read the whole series before I even knew there was going to be a movie. It was
Okay.
popular when it first came out, and I think it's
Hmm.
like probably this Jeff Vandermeer's most popular book for sure. Put him
Yeah.
on the map, so to speak. But yeah,
Did you get the same feeling? I guess, how did he do from his
I
feelings?
mean, I always get better vibes, frankly, from books, but I because I just because of how I am, like I am kind of like spectrumy, especially with my ADHD, and so like movies just tend to like be too much for me. So
Mm,
I just in general prefer books. But still, yeah, I got a cool feeling. I mean, uh, I guess it was Jeff Vandermeer who said he didn't get anything from Stalker, which was this Tarkovsky famous movie about a zone,
Hmm.
and like a lot of lore around that. But I wondered if maybe it would be hard for me to believe that Alex Garland didn't get anything from the zone because it was like, I mean, from the whole from Stalker. I mean, because it's the same kind of thing, but like crossing over into like this like semi-magical place or whatever. But that's I mean that's the genre bending thing there too. Is like in both Alex Garland and in the movie. I'm trying to remember where now in the movie, but in Alex Garland, there's a lot of occult stuff going on too. Probably way more than in no, sorry, not Alex Garland. I meant to say Jeff Vandermeer. There's a
Okay.
lot of
Okay.
occult stuff going on, and the
Oh, wow.
speculation actually is that it was started by like this occult organization that it's really
hmm.
the whole zone, which is not called the Shimmer in the book. It's called the Brightness, and so I think Shimmer is actually a cooler name, and it makes a lot of sense when they get to the border in the movie.
Right. With the
It's kind
artwork
of
that they
yeah.
used.
Yeah, really,
Yeah.
really cool. I mean, I like the idea of like the shimmer getting like in you and recoding you
Yeah.
and mixing up your DNA and stuff is pretty interesting.
I haven't seen all of the episodes. I just, kind of peeked into Stranger Things with the kids, but I kind of had that feeling as well. And I wondered how much Stranger Things borrowed,
Oh yeah, they brought them from
from
everywhere, didn't
this.
they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did. They definitely did. Yeah.
Is it even some
Yeah.
of that, at the very end of the movie, where just some of that
Yes.
artwork of the tunnel reminded me very much of Stranger Things. And then
Yeah.
the upside was it the upside down other whatever? Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. The upside down.
or the
I think
inside out.
something upside
So,
down,
yeah,
inside out.
Yeah,
yeah.
the
Right.
maybe I'll talk about it more later, but the biggest thing that was cut out there is a tunnel still kind of like in that lower part of the lighthouse, I think, in the movie. But
Hmm.
like there's it's a much bigger thing in the book. It's like the centerpiece of the book almost actually. It's like a reverse living uh tower, they call it. And it goes like burrows down into the ground. So it's a really wild place with yeah, like writing that is like floral on the wall. It like it sounds sort of like cryptic and like apocalyptic, and it's like mostly nonsense, but there's a whole big thing in that. And that's the centerpiece of the book. But maybe I'll say a little bit more about that later. But it's really there's some basic concepts that are like taken from by the movie, but the book is almost to me it's like it, but plot wise and things that
Yeah.
happen, no,
Not.
almost nothing like it. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Cool. So yeah, like if we talked about that when we watched the movie together, so just jump in at any point with differences from the movie to the book, because I'm interested to
And I'll try to
know.
limit it into the stuff that matters, but you know
Yeah, because
me,
I know there's a
I'm a little
lot that's
excessive
different.
sometimes, but yeah.
You are. Yes. Yes, you are.
No, come on.
Uh, all right, let's jump into it. Cellular biologist professor and former U.S. Army soldier Lena, played by Natalie Portman, sits under interrogation. She's the sole survivor of a doomed expedition into a mysterious zone known as the Shimmer, which I think is appropriately named for what it looks like. It
Yeah.
does look like a shimmer.
It's like an oil slick slash, I
Yeah.
mean, there's some definite like artistic techniques there to make it I think unique. Definitely. It's like
Hmm.
I mean, I know I've got the Northern Lights behind me, but it's a little Northern
Yeah,
Lighty. It's a
right,
little,
right.
so you can kind of like, oh, and like the sheen of a bubble, like when a bubble is,
Yes, yes, yeah,
yeah, expanding.
yeah,
I thought
yeah.
that was a really
Not Alex
beautiful.
Garland, Jeff Vandermeer, when he did cite what his inspirations were, he's a Floridian, by the way, a Gulf Floridian, and one of the big influences for him was the Exxon Valdez oil spill.
Hmm.
Oh,
Okay,
very,
I wonder if
that
he
makes
was
very
sense.
like,
oily. Yeah.
yeah, there's also like a theme in here that, we can talk about later too, but like of that not all like they kind of make the mutations not all bad or like evil, like there's some
Right.
that are
Right.
just
That's right. Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
like finding that
Yeah.
beauty in, something that we would have, see as bad force.
Yeah, definitely.
Oil
Yeah.
really was bad, but
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
he thought of it quite differently, where there was no intention, kind of in the movie, but
hmm
Vandermeer thought of the zone as like purifying. He was imagining it as like cleaning the after the oil spill, like ridding it of toxins or something like that, which is really weird and interesting because it's not at all like that in the movie, I don't think. But he was imagining like just Mother Nature almost like purifying itself, cleaning itself. And the biologist in the book is actually one of the things she studies is like bacteria that like metabolizes plastics because he was
yeah.
very interested in cleaning up the environment some kind of way.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's a real thing, that we've been actually this is one of my projects I've been looking into too, is that they have like bacteria that can basically digest, plastic. It's just a fascinating science field. But
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so for him, the zone was digesting like just all the
hmm,
toxins of the Gulf. And as we know, like yeah, the Gulf has seen its fair share of toxins, that whole
yeah,
region down there. So yeah, and it's
Right.
not named in the book or the movie that that's where they are, but it's like pretty clear that's where they are. So.
Yeah, they're in Florida. Uh 3 years. So
Or
they got
Arkansas
gators, they're
or
gonna be like,
Mississippi or something like that.
no,
Yeah,
they're no, that like the legit next line is it tells you where this takes place. So 3 years earlier, a meteor struck the St. Mark's Lighthouse in Florida's state St. Mark's National Wildlife Refuge. So it is in Florida where this happened. So that makes
yeah,
sense, right?
and that's
Uh,
actually where Vandermeer got a lot of inspiration from. Like, apparently, it's a real forest preserve, and he
Oh
got a
yeah.
lot of inspiration from being there. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Since then, the shimmer has been steadily expanding, swallowing everything in its path. Numerous expeditions have entered its boundaries, but none have returned, except for Lena's husband, Kane, played by the very cute Oscar Isaac.
Is he?
And
Wow.
I say that because I recently just watched, there's a Netflix series called Beef. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I know you
Mhm.
haven't, Marty, but he's in that and he is adored. Like he starts out, I don't know. It just as the series goes on, he just gets a little bit more adorable each episode. So it's like I was like, oh, that's Oscar Isaac. I just watched him in Annihilation, but so that's why I say that. Marty's
I
looking
think
like I'm never gonna watch that show.
he was also in Star Wars, I think, one of the
He was,
like
yeah. I don't
or
even
like
know which
Phantom of
Yeah,
the
one.
Menace, maybe.
yeah, yeah,
And then yeah, different one than Natalie Portman was in.
yeah.
So
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so
So
he's
definitely
like,
not the Phantom Menace, like
was that
the
the one she
seven,
was
eight, and
in? And
nine
then
ones. Yeah, she
yeah,
was in
okay.
1, 2, and 3. Oh yeah.
yeah. But yeah, he definitely not a lot of scenes and not a lot of lines in this movie, but he plays Lena's husband. So after vanishing for a year, Kane suddenly reappears at home with no memory of where he's been. His brief return turns disturbing when he begins coughing up blood, prompting Lena to call for help, only for both of them to be intercepted by a shadowy government force and taken into a secret research facility. So I remember the first time I saw this movie, and it's like this is where it kind of gets like, I mean, there's scary parts in this movie, but this was a little scary. Like when he just comes home and you already know, like when he
Yeah,
just shows
something's up.
up, you're like, something's not right here. Like
Right.
this is creepy. And then when she's questioning him and he has no idea where he's been, and then you see him, they just focus in on that glass of water, man, and you're just like, okay, here it comes. And he does. He takes that a sip of water and immediately starts convulsing
Yeah.
and throwing
He's
up
got like
blood.
blood in the water and like,
Yeah,
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 like,
yeah,
ew.
yeah.
Yeah. I
So,
was actually surprised that he even like as much blood as he starts spitting up and he's
yeah,
convulsing in the ambulance. I'm like, well, he's
yeah,
dead.
yeah.
Like
I did too.
he
I
should
was
be
like,
dead.
oh, well, he's
I
gone.
don't know.
Right.
Not gonna be,
And
yeah.
she's lucky. Like, I was also thinking the first time I saw this movie, like, he's got something. Like, I'm thinking,
I was thinking
virus,
back to like the
something.
outbreak scene. Remember where we
Yeah,
were like, so
right.
I was like, no, wait, he doesn't look right. Don't kiss him.
Don't kiss him.
Don't
Yeah,
something's
don't
up
get near
there.
him. Right. So at this secret research facility, Kane is placed in intensive care while Lena is questioned by psychologist Dr. Ventress, played by Jennifer Jason Leigh. Dr. Ventress reveals plans for a new scientific mission into the Shimmer, and Lena volunteers to go, even though she knows, that it's dangerous, I guess. I mean, Dr. Ventress tells her that all of these people have disappeared basically except for her husband's the only person that's come back. So, what do you guys think about that? Like, what are your
Mm.
guys' thoughts about Lena volunteering to go into the Shimmer?
I thought that was a really interesting, thing that I read and found that maybe, looking at her motivation, like why did she go? Was it really that
Mhm.
she was that desperate to help her husband? Was it because she was sad and loved her husband? But then as the movie continues on, we find
Right.
out that she's actually probably more driven by guilt, and this kind of
Yeah.
desperate sense of, she wronged him,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah. Yeah.
feels bad about it. So I thought that was really interesting because then it kind of feeds into then the other crew members. Like I think they get, further as they get into the Shimmer, they start revealing theirs, but you can already get some of their story as their
Yeah.
motivation because I think that they had to have some kind of um yeah other thing because that's also when they have when they start talking about it as a suicide mission, right? And so
Right.
they
Right.
have that interesting quote of like Dr. Ventress, right? So she
Mm-hmm.
says almost none of us commit suicide and almost all of us self-destruct. And so then you find out like
Yes.
what are all their self-destructive motivations and
Right.
behaviors
Right.
there. So yeah, that's kind of
Major
where I saw
theme
that.
in the movie that's not quite so much in the book is death drive, period. Like, and that's
Mm,
actually, that's how I interpret the ending of the story, which we'll get to later. But yeah, you're going to see it throughout. There isn't quite the same emphasis on self-destruction. And actually, in some ways, the zone is, and its mutations are even more positive. There's some positive ones in the movie, but it's even more positive. It's it's there's ambiguity for sure. There's but like there's even more I don't know, sort of like celebration of this change that's happening to the world or whatever.
Mm.
Which we like. I mean, I should mention that is one of the things that's a little hard to take, especially since I know that Vandermeer and I guess Alex Garland too are like really hardcore atheists, and so the it is important that this whatever this is that's happening is not intended or directed or anything like that. So like
mm,
it's gotta be somehow like yeah, like a materialist would imagine evolutionary
Mm.
processes like as chance. And so like as we know that like almost everything winds up in cancer. Like so like most
Essentially
like
what cancer
yeah,
is, right? It's
yeah,
mutation
yeah,
without
exactly.
control.
right.
There's
Yeah.
very few like genetic screwball-y shit that like is going to result in anything good. And even I think at around this time, and he didn't mention it as an influence, but it seems like it was. But this is when CRISPR really started getting into the news as like this very hopeful thing. I know when the book was written, and in our family we have Huntington's chorea, not on our direct family, but in our cousins, and it was one of these things that became very hopeful at the time. Oh, it's one gene that just needs to be fixed, and a lot of that stuff just hasn't panned out at all. Genes are way more complicated than than we ever could imagine. So, imagining that something even functional could come out
Yeah.
of mixing up DNA strands is just. I
Mhm.
mean, it's just for
Or
me.
alive, right? Yeah.
Right,
I like you couldn't.
exactly. It just points again to like how there was this kind of at least misunderstanding that's really starting to be directed. I mean, addressed more and more in science that like there has to be something else, some other something that allows things to sequence. I hesitate to use the word design, but just because we're
Right.
talking about intention or whatever, but that this is where epigenetics comes in and all that kind of stuff. But I don't want to get too far into that, but like I'll just say that like if you had a zone, which is like more like the Stalker zone in the Tarkovsky movie, they really were like exposed to chemicals during the filming, and a bunch of them died from cancer. So like a real
Mm.
zone where like there was this like loosening of the replication of RNA sequencing or whatever would just be death,
Well,
basically.
yeah, if radiation was that strong, right? I mean, like, because I think they kind of allude to that there's radioactive, something going on in there, or
Well, they say it's
disrupting the
refractory.
electromagnetic.
Like somehow it's like within the zone. Like it's not just
Yeah,
refractory zone for light. So that like so a refractory zone in light is like you have these two, I don't know, lights, and then in the middle is where the refractory zone is going to be, and they're
yeah,
going to
it's
form like all kinds of
like
waves
light
and
going through a
troughs.
prism, right? So that
Yeah,
you
yeah,
have
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
that's so it's not actual like that's where like I think I hope that the director was pretty careful. I think about using a lot of real scientific terms, but then
Right.
then he got into more of like an analogy. I think that the
Yeah.
refracting back was sort of an
Oh, okay.
analogy.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
got
I
you.
think
Yeah,
so
It's
yeah,
kind of
too.
hard to tell
yeah.
in there because they do say like refraction, like
Yeah.
maybe refraction causing the mutation, but I think they're kind of just, I don't know, using that sort of as a loose metaphor.
Yeah. That's how I took it too. Yeah. So the team that Lena's going to join is rounded out by Cassie a geomorphologist, which what is that? Does anybody know? I guess I probably should have looked that up before, but a
Of the earth or something.
geomorphologist.
Yeah, the forms of like earth, shapes. I mean, in the book, it's a surveyor.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what they. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's the
They
replacement
kind of had
surveyor with a fancier name, I guess.
yeah, they,
Geomorphologist. So that's Cassie, played by Tuba Novia, and Anna, a paramedic, played by Gina Rodriguez, and Josie, physicist, played by Tessa Thompson. So
so
we got our five
was it
science ladies and a
and
paramedic.
Gina was it like Gina the yeah and a paramedic.
And
I thought it
we'll
was such an
throw her in
odd
there.
mix of like
I know.
occupations because like it kind of seemed like if you're like developing an elite team or something like that. But I mean, in a way, then as the movie goes on, I'm like, oh, okay, well, actually, they're
I mean,
skills
I would
trying to
think
come
that you
out
would need a paramedic if you're going into a
right.
situation like this, right? You would
Emergency
need
medicine,
somebody. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
We'll
yeah.
throw. She's a science lady. We'll throw her in there too.
Yeah, and she was
Uh,
Jane the Virgin, too. So like,
oh, that's right. That's right. That's
I
so.
think actually at the
Okay.
same time they were like in like the last season or something like that when they
Okay.
released this movie. So
I knew she looked. Oh, yeah. I was like, she does look familiar. I know I've seen her in something else too. But yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And Tessa Thompson, she's been in a lot of stuff too. Cassie, she didn't really look familiar to me, but I'm sure she was in other stuff. So, so yes, we have our five ladies going into the shimmer.
mhm.
So once inside, their equipment begins to fail, of course, almost immediately, cutting them off from all of the outside world. The landscape reveals itself as a warped ecosystem of hybrid life. Plants and animals fuse together and reshape into uncanny forms. Among the strangest sights are deers with flowering antlers, which I love. I mean, I will have to say that there are some beautiful images in this movie, and one of them is definitely when we see the deer with the
Mhm.
flower antlers. I mean, it's gorgeous. And then another one, not so not so nice, is an albino alligator with rows of shark-like teeth that nearly killed Josie. So it's a very kind of tense,
Yeah,
harrowing scene.
that played on my fears of the of shit coming out of water that
Oh
so
yeah.
like by dark,
Yeah.
like we've talked about that before is sort of the cloudy water. I'm like, oh, okay, well, we
Yeah.
got one of those.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of bullets to kill the main, bad creatures, and these are
Right.
Edie creatures.
Yeah, yeah. And like Marty pointed out, because he always likes these kind of shots when we get like the inside view. So we get an inside mouth shot of that
LV.
yeah. The,
I mean, I want to know for real,
And the
is
sound
Jaws like the
effects.
first one?
yeah.
Did Spielberg invent the inside of the beast's mouth shot? I want to know.
I
Maybe he
don't
did.
know. We'll have to look
Gotta
that up.
He
I
Google
has a
don't
that.
know if he
memorable
did.
one at any rate.
Yeah.
Some listeners shouting at us right now as they're listening to this.
Yeah,
So
they're like, it
they
was
know
this
the answer.
movie. I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
I know. I always, what, like, when we're in the middle of recording, I'm like, I probably should have looked that up. It's like- so yeah, so pretty scary stuff, but also some, beautiful images as well. Um, so at an abandoned military outpost, the group discovers footage of Kane's expedition. A chilling video shows Kane slicing open a soldier's abdomen, exposing like kind of like and his intestines are
Eel-ish,
kind of
yeah.
like writhing and slithering and stuff. It's pretty gross.
I don't really get how
So
genetic refractory or mixing of any kind would result in that. But, anyways, slithering intestines.
I don't
But
know. Your intestines is merging with snakes or worms or
I
Yeah.
something,
guess,
and
I don't
then
know
yeah.
if it
it's
was like,
moving.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah.
But yeah,
I don't know.
that's was cool for sure.
Yeah, it's cool.
Great.
I was like, the guy didn't bleed that much. They're like peeling back his stomach, and it was a
Yeah.
little
Oh,
little bleedy, but I was
it's
like, okay, that just made it grosser.
it's a little
It's just,
graphic. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Nearby, they find the soldier's corpse. now overtaken by a sprawling, self-sustaining colony of lichen. And so I did have to look up lichen. It's like a combination of like algae and fungi, I guess.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah,
which I
you'll
was like,
usually see it in
oh,
like
that's
on
cool.
rocks or like and
Yeah.
lichen can be really beautiful too. And it was, I think, and this was like a, fantasized
Right.
kind of thing,
Yeah.
come in those awesome colors. But
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I think lichen is pretty much it's known for being able to grow anywhere and
Right.
it's
Right.
extremely hardy, right? It's one of
Yeah.
the first um decomposers or things that you'll see in certain environments.
Hmm.
But yeah, but they had like in a really that was another sprinkling of some, well, it's gruesome too because there was body coming out of it. But the design of the lichen itself
Yeah.
was like a really cool chalk painting or something.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really cool. But yeah, it was cool except for the body part that
Yeah, that
wasn't so
wasn't really
cool.
great.
The reverse tower in the book, the writing that's being scrawled on the wall is like written in like something like lichen, basically some
Hmm.
Mm.
fungal. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
not not nothing.
we do see more lichen like in the lighthouse at the end. I think it's like all over, like it's kind of all over the wall, and it's like really awesome colors. Like there's like pink and like orange and
Yeah, these like
yellow and stuff.
beautiful
Yeah,
pastels. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that night, Lena and Dr. Ventress discussed humanity's tendency towards self-destruction. So this is what we were talking about before, Marty. You said the quote there. What was the quote again about
Oh, that almost none of us commit suicide and almost all of us self-destruct.
yes, that's what it was. Yeah, sorry. Oh, yeah, that was you, Andrew. Sorry. I
No,
couldn't
no, no, no.
remember
That's
who
our
mentioned that quote,
I
but
was
yeah.
just saying about
So
death drives, which is that's what that
death
is.
drives, yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Yeah. Their conversation is cut short when a gruesome mutant bear attacks, dragging Cassie into the darkness. And Lena later finds what she believes is her remains. So, pretty scary shit. Like that when that bear
Yeah.
pops out of nowhere,
It
it's
goes through the
pretty scary.
fence, like it chomps through the fence, right?
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
like, but they don't know what it is yet.
Right, right. Yeah.
There was the scene where Lena goes to by herself to find
Yeah.
Cassie's body, and I'm like, "What are you doing? Like, why are you going in this forest
I have no
by
idea.
yourself? Like, why is that have to be your solo mission?" It
I
felt like one of those
yeah.
horror scene movies where you're just like, "No, girl, why are you going
Yeah. Like you
into
should
the?"
be getting out of the haunted house instead of going
Yes,
into the haunted house even further,
yeah,
right?
like
Yeah.
very noble of you to try to go find her body, but at least take a buddy with you.
Something. Yeah, exactly.
Might be
As the
helpful too to think about some of their self-destructive behaviors. Like
Yeah, that's true.
it's
Right.
like what is? I mean, I don't know, but like I because I can't remember them all, but I remember that the paramedic
Yeah.
was a heroin addict or something like that. Is that right?
She was an addict, and then
Yeah.
well, you know about Lena's like infidelity and
Yeah.
guilt, and
Yeah.
then Ventress has a terminal
Cancer.
illness, like yeah, she's
Yeah.
got cancer.
Yeah.
Oh, and then Josie does self-harm, so she's got scars
That's
all over
right.
her
Right. Right.
arms. Yeah,
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Cassie lost a
So
child. Cassie lost a
yeah,
child, right? Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
so like the one that's probably well, they're all death drive, but the one that's real close to like what Freud was thinking about was her blowing up her life with her husband or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like really clear that she didn't even know why she does it. Like she's
Yeah,
just like so it's just like that's what death drive is. It's like this, like this like unconscious, drive to like undermine ourselves. So and I was also thought it was interesting that um the snake tattoos is that Ouroboros or whatever that thing is called from Egyptian mythology. You remember they all have that, like, well, not, I don't know if they all do. I think they all do.
Lena
It's like
does. Lena has it on
weirdly.
her arm, right?
Somebody had the tattoo, but then they all had a piece of it. Wasn't that what it was? Like,
Ah,
I think there was
Oh.
somebody who,
Is that what Kane's was? Like the head of it? Because he had a huge tattoo on
yeah.
his
No, he had just a
right
yeah,
super.
shoulder and
His was
chest.
a mutant creature tattoo,
yeah, like
which was
somebody
appropriate because it was like some
originally,
mixed up animal thing looking.
yeah, like somebody originally had the tattoo, but then as time goes on, they all got had a little bit of piece of that tattoo. Like the tattoo was in the atmosphere somewhere, had got refracted, and then was
Yeah,
Mutated back onto their
was
skin.
mutating back
yeah.
onto them or
Well,
something.
I
But
should
Yeah.
say that this is like how I don't know, death drive is related to the continuation of life. This snake is eating its own tail, I guess, kind of famously. So, I mean, it's
That's what was
consuming
happening in
its.
his intestines too, right? I mean, it
Yeah, I
wasn't,
guess
there
that's
never
true.
showed a
Yeah,
head or
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
a tail rather, right?
yeah,
It was
yeah.
just like a
It's consuming
it's just
continuous.
itself.
continuous,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, yeah. It's kind of self-destructing, but I mean, the way it was understood in ancient Egyptian mythology is like, at least as far as I understand, was like the cycle of life of like rebirth and like whatever. So it was seen as more positive, but you can see the connection between self-destruction because I did is it the book or is it the movie too where they talk about how within the cells there's like this self-destruct kind of like
Yeah. Like there's the
drive or something like
telomerase,
that.
right? So there's like all of our cells have telomerase. So they were saying like, that's inherently like the destructive force that's within us, too. So we're like everything, gets except for cancer. So like, when a cell like
Mm.
that mutation and then that splitting of cells to create a new cell is sort of the eternal life factor that they can see. Like, that's it never dies. Like they were basically saying, and there might even be a quote in there about like the cell never dies. And it's true because like if it continues to split into a new cell, and then there was kind of an interesting point about that though too. Like, so if we all have this like telomerase that's built into us, right, that causes us to ultimately die, or is the destructive force, a stopping of this mutation, then is that how to connect that to that lack of free will that we have, like that is one force within us that we don't have, there's no control over, that is programmed within us, and it's new. It's like, back to your point, Marty, about like sort of a religious aspect, I guess, that too. It seems like it's a very impassive force in this. Like there is no feeling, or it's just saying, it's just doing what it does. That's all. Like the cells mutate because they do what they do. But I think that the author director of this movie kind of made that point over and over again, saying like, you don't have a choice. Like, all of this is not your choice.
That's right. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, and it was also, who was it? Shar, was it Kane reading all of a sudden I can't remember the name of the book.
Oh
It
yeah.
was a,
So
yeah, say
so
about
we
that.
get
Yeah.
yeah, so we get many flashbacks while all of this is going on, right? We're getting
Mhm.
flashbacks of Kane and Lena's life, which Marty absolutely hated. He said
Oh, it's just so different from the book, but yeah, so it's good. I guess, and as I think about it, it fits that they would have a decent relationship, and then she would just blow it
blow it.
up.
And I
Yeah,
think that's what the flashbacks are trying to
yeah,
show
yeah.
us, right?
Mm.
But
Yeah.
But
in the
Well, they
Mark,
movie,
seem to
in the
have
book,
this
they don't have a
loving.
decent relationship. She's
oh,
very like
okay.
science, like obsessed, kind of weirdo science girl who like grew up like looking at like cesspools and like tidal pools and like just weird things and was like really into her own thing or whatever. And that's why the relationship is not that great. But like, it has nothing to do with that other thing. But I'm sorry, Cher, I still can't remember the name of
Oh,
the
so
book because
yeah, so
yeah.
so yeah, I was just saying like during this film we get a lot of different flashbacks scenes with Lena and Kane, and one in particular stands out where Kane and Lena are sitting on the sofa and Kane is reading the book The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. And that is a story of an African American woman who, true
True
story, right?
story.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Of an African American woman whose cancer cells, the HeLa cells, were taken without consent in 1951, leading to major medical breakthroughs while her family remained in poverty and unaware. So,
So
and
they
there is a,
just, oh, I'm
yeah, go
sorry,
ahead.
Charlotte. I was just gonna say they just won a lawsuit. I don't know if you saw
Yes.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Which
And there is a really good documentary on probably well it was back on when there was just HBO, right? So it's probably on HBO Max now, but called The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, and it's but you it's really in depth, and they talk to members of her family, and it's actually pretty uh like heart-wrenching. Like I was crying for most of the documentary, but it is a really good story. So yeah, I mean
His
that's
point about the immortality of the cell.
yeah,
That's what made me think about it. So
right,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the subject that was brought up a lot during those trials, too, is that like Henrietta's living still through like like the cells that are like that is a living part of
Right.
her that
Right.
I mean, and you're right, Charlotte, that those were, I mean, those cells are used in research. Like
Yeah.
it has
Right.
been
Right.
just an incredible list of discoveries and life-saving medicines and stuff like that. But the families point, and I think what they ultimately wanted is that she didn't give consent for that, and her family didn't
Right.
get consent from it, and they got no benefits from it, and
Exactly.
she died of her cancer.
Right. Yeah,
So
yeah, right. Yeah. So, yeah, it's interesting. And I don't know if that is something that's in the book, Marty, or did you think Alex Garland just put it in the movie? What is that in the book? Is there any mention of this of
that
that
book, no,
novel? No.
no. Yeah,
Okay.
that
Okay.
was definitely put in by Alex Garland, and I'll have to try to think of it. But he put another book in there at the beginning that I saw, and now I can't remember.
Oh,
But
really?
they were
Yeah.
both very pointed. Like that. I mean, the other thing I'll say is that like Freud had a kind of a funny theory um, about death drive related to this. He thought that like just like the energetic, flow and vibration of like organic matter, like there was like this like leftover longing to be inorganic again. It's because it was just life was just like too much or something like that. He ditched that theory, but he was just trying to figure out like where does this desire to like kill yourself not and again it's just like the quote that Andrea said, it's not like actual suicide, but it's like all these things we do to make sure that we die one way or another, or screw our lives up, because that's what he was looking at.
hmm
Freud was in particular looking at people coming back from World War I, but and just other people who were like blowing up their lives for
right.
reasons he couldn't understand, and like why are people doing this. So anyways, yeah, but it turns out it's all sciency. It's just some shit in your cells that forces you to do it.
Hormones. It's always
Hormones.
hormones.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Okay, so as the team presses on, Josie, she's studying the plant life that has begun to take on humanoid shapes. So this is another scene in this movie that I think is absolutely gorgeous, where we have these like they start out as like tree roots coming out of the ground and turn into these beautiful human-looking flower arrangement kind of things. So it's really pretty
Yeah.
Lucy's
imaging
decision is
there.
really interesting there to become
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I forget what she says, but it's just like,
I think they were using the
So
same
this is
gene. Oh,
yeah. So this is where we get the she theorizes. So this is where we get to talk about Josie theorizes that the shimmer behaves like a prism, refracting not just light but DNA itself, blending and altering everything within it. So this is where we get the major talk about
hmm
refraction and being like a prism. Um,
and then she says something though, like she doesn't want to face it or fight it. Like and so
that's
like,
later. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
later when she says that.
okay. And
Yeah,
I
that's
was just reminded of Ovid's Metamorphosis here, that famous scene of what's the name of the plant, the narcissus, or no, I'll think of it later, but like somebody transforms into a tree in in Ovid's Metamorphosis. So anyways, I
yeah,
can't remember now.
think think about it and come back to
It
us.
doesn't matter actually.
It's Groot from Avengers. That's who it
Yeah, there
was.
you go. It's Groot from the Avengers, right? Um, so when Anna notices her own body is beginning to change, there's a scene where she's looking at her like fingers and she can see her fingerprints start to change, which is really cool. Well, I guess not for
Identity
her,
questions
but
in
yeah,
this are
yeah,
huge.
exactly, right, yeah.
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 She immediately becomes paranoid at that point. Like her paranoia takes over. And then she restrains the others at gunpoint, accusing Lena of murder. So she thinks Lena killed Cassie. And her breakdown is interrupted by the sound of Cassie's voice crying for help. So she gets drawn to that, right? She goes out. She's trying to look for Cassie. But in the meantime, the fucking bear comes back, right? And this shit. So,
Okay, I'm gonna see that in my nightmares.
yeah.
Like,
So this is actually, and this is how I heard about this movie. Oh my God, I forgot the name of the movie. Annihilation. Jesus. Before I saw the movie, this is how I heard about the movie because this scene that we're getting ready to talk about is on the list of one of the scariest scenes in movies, right? The list of 100 scariest scenes. I don't remember what number it is, but this is on that list. And I have to agree with that. This scene is so scary. So this mutant bear comes back, right? And it is like crying or like making this noise, but it's in Cassie's voice. And at one point, first off, the bear looks weird. Yeah, it looks like
it's kind of
it's
like a humanish kind of skull
yeah,
face.
yeah, it's like a
Like,
skull face, but if you look very closely, you can actually there's one point where the bear turns his head and you can see kind of like Cassie's face within that skull, right? So Cassie, I guess, has like somehow got into this bear's DNA after it attacked her, is what I'm assuming, right?
like her last, like her final moment of terror and pain.
Yes,
And I think that kind of plays on, I mean, there's one of those fears, right, that we have too, that like
right.
is a human, like a universal human thing that like somehow our last out of our last moments, will be like
Yes.
all that our legacy is.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
for some reason that scene too made me think of sort of like that impression of Cassie in there or whatever, and like capturing that moment of intense, emotion. Like I think of that when I go to like places that something really bad has happened, or or like I don't know, just like reliving those events where you like somehow it captures like the essence of like that terrible
Yeah.
thing,
Right. Yeah.
happening. And I remember I talked to I think it was our mom, Marty, about this, to see like, you know, can is that supposition of like your emotion, or your consciousness screaming out or being so powerful, and those kind of like at the death moment, to that, does something linger, is something
Right.
left behind
Right.
or absorbed
Yeah.
into the inorganic or the organic material,
Yeah.
around you,
Yeah. 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 Definitely. Definitely.
or a mutant bear,
Or
like
a mutant
yeah.
bear. Right.
It's like
Although, again, with the identity bit, the voice is associated so much with a person, but here it is disembodied in another body. It is definitely something, though, that it's one of those things you could try to, a person's voice, I guess, in some ways is related to, their genetic makeup, where they come from, whatever, but it's just so singular, and identifies a person so, I don't know, in some kind of essential way, that I think the uncanny effect of it is just to have that disconnected from the person whose voice it is. And also, it just like it's your first indication. Obviously that couldn't be, gotten through genetics or whatever, like splicing or whatever, but like, however it imprinted on the thing. What it shows again is that in this movie, at any rate, because it is in the book a bit, but this is kind of the central piece of the movie, is like this mimicry. So
Mhm.
like
Mm.
whatever it is doesn't know what it is, it's just like it just mimics or imitates or
Right.
whatever. So yeah.
In
Yeah.
another really unemotional way, right? Yeah, because like
Yeah.
that was just mimicking without conscious thought or
Yeah,
Right.
which
emotion
makes it
Right.
or,
again more
you know,
unsettling,
Yeah,
because
right.
definitely.
because it's reflecting back, it's replaying this moment of anguish and terror. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yes. It's pretty, yeah, it's really creepy.
In the book, I'll
So
just say, oh, sorry,
yeah.
one more
No, go
thing
ahead.
about
Go
it.
ahead.
In the book, they don't have that, but when they first get into the zone, or whatever you want to call it, I'm calling it the zone. I guess the shimmer or whatever it's
Yeah.
called, Area X in the book. They hear at night of human voice like screaming and speculate as to like what it could be and like try to find it and stuff like that. So I think maybe that's taken from there. I should also mention that the reason why they're all female is that isn't a tremendous reason, but like basically the Southern Reach, which is the organization that's investigating, is like trying every possible combination of everything they can find. So it's like they're just sending in all kinds of different combinations. So, but anyway.
And I think that they do say that in this movie
Oh, okay.
at one point. Maybe not that they're trying different combinations, but I think when Dr. Ventress is talking to Lena in the beginning about the next expedition, I think there is a line where she says this is the first all-female expedition that they've done. So that to me tells me that maybe they are just trying all kinds of different combinations to see, what worked. And I mean, we don't get to see all of the people in Kane's video, but from what we could gather when the guy's intestines were slithering was that looked like it might have been all male.
It was,
So,
yeah.
Right.
I mean, at least
yeah,
in the book, and at least in the book, there was like a number of all male ones, and
yeah,
then
yeah.
they, whatever reason, decided to do the all female thing to see how it goes. But
Right,
in
right.
the book too, like the free will thing gets even more problematic or problematized because hypnotism plays a huge role in the book, and that's part of its occult, esoteric sort of side or whatever. But the psychologist, this is old school psychology. This is Freudian psychology when psychotherapists used to hypnotize people, I guess. But she has to hypnotize them to like not lose their mind throughout the book or whatever. All right, so she's
Mm,
got trigger words that she'll say to them to like calm their asses down or like make them forget something. And when they first come into the zone in the book, they've been there already for 3 days and they have no memories of having been there. It's like they just look around and like,
yeah.
whoa, like my this and that,
Mhm.
like
And they've been
so.
eating, like, so they've been doing stuff, right? Like they
Yeah.
notice
Yeah.
that they're, yeah.
Well, in the
Yeah.
book, it's because they were under hypnosis. In the movie, I think they're suggesting it's just because
The shimmer
the
is
shimmer is
making them.
weird,
Yeah.
yeah, or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
again, back to the identity piece, because I was just going to be back so many times. Like one of the things that people consider like essential to identity is memory, and so like people's memories are getting all lost, confused. And in the book, and I can't remember in the movie, but there's memory mixing. So, anyways, it's like it's really, like who's who, as it's
Hmm.
going to really take off in the movie. A big question of who's who.
Yeah. So as this mutant bear comes in, he's like, in Cassie's voice, he's like sniffing around. Uh, Anya comes back and the bear kills her, right? And then Josie manages to break free and she shoots the bear. And once again, it takes like God's amounts of bullets
Right.
to put this bear down. Um, So, with the group fractured, Dr. Ventress decides that she's going to continue alone toward the lighthouse to get next to the Shimmer's core. Josie becomes increasingly detached and suggests that the bear just didn't mimic Cassie. It refracted her consciousness, leaving only fear and pain behind. And so this is where, Marty, you mentioned Josie decides that she's just going to accept her fate. And she wanders off and transforms into a plant-like figure
Mhm.
and just she kind of just disappears, but I'm assuming she just turned into one of those.
Oh, she was
tree
turning into a
plant
tree the
things.
whole way. Yeah,
Yeah, she
right.
was because we see the leaves growing and stuff on her. At the more that she's like sitting and talking with Lena, she just starts getting these leaves and these vines coming out
Hmm.
of her skin, and then she just becomes a plant person. So Lena, with no choice, she just presses on alone, and she reaches the lighthouse. And this is my favorite scene in this whole movie where she's walking towards the lighthouse on this beach, and there are these beautiful, like crystal trees just
Yeah.
growing out of the sand. I have never seen anything so gorgeous in my life. But yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. What were your guys' thoughts on that scene?
Yeah, I thought it was amazing, too. That was and once you get there too, because you're sort of building up to
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
too. And then but you can see it's definitely another example of okay, mutation or whatever happened to those trees. Because I was also trying to figure
yeah.
out, I was like, okay, if they're like crystalline, are they like salt trees or something? Or I
Right,
couldn't tell like
right.
what it was that they were, or just like something, that the that the aliens created. But yeah, I almost thought, too, I was like, okay, well, they've got that. But then it was a little bit jarring then because they have like the arrangement of like skeletons,
Yeah,
also on the
I still don't
beach,
know what that is. I have
yeah, I was
no
like,
idea.
who did that? Like
Yeah,
why,
right.
because that kind of took away a little bit from that theory that I actually kind of I think is a good theme, too, of this indifference or this, that it's not necessarily like a malevolent force. It's
Hmm.
just it just is. But like a force that just is I don't know, why would they be lighting up
Right,
skeletons in a row or
right.
the skulls or something like that,
Yeah,
unless that was a
yeah.
The
crazy
book it
person.
had, yeah, there is a lot of that. So like whatever in the book, whatever gets mixed, and we'll get into more of this when we start having to talk about doppelgangers, because doppelgangers are huge in the book. Uh, they they gain, so the one gains the intention of the other. And so, like, whatever intentionality you see in the zone is a reflection of whoever was mixed. And there was a big sea battle in one of the earlier missions in the book. So, like, those guys lined up very well could have been from, I mean, maybe, I don't, again, I don't know how much, he was going off the book at this point, but like, they did have to fight like this huge like sea battle at some point during one of the missions, and they were all kind of like, they would have like probably buried each other, whatever, because they would have still had that sort of, wherewithal, even though they were mixing already. And all were mixed. Both the doppelganger and them are mixed. And we'll talk more about that later too. But the other thing about the crystals that I was thinking about is that there was a lot of time. There was a long time in science. I guess it was, man, it was just, I guess it was mostly in the early 20th century where there's just always been this question is like, well, how does inorganic matter become organic? And crystals were thought of as this intermediary because they have they're well, the one thing they have is they have this thing called a mother liquor, which is the liquor. It's the word liquor. Like I don't know a lot about crystals, but anyways, it's like it's got like a kind of almost DNA like quality in the sense it's like
Like that
got a kind of
structure, you mean?
it's
Yeah.
yeah it's got a plan. Well, it's got a plan. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's so like you have to have the mother liquor to get the crystal to form water. You can have all the chemicals, but if you don't have like the plan, which is the mother liquor or whatever, you're not going to get the crystals or
Yeah, the
whatever. It's
crystals
like
won't form
yeah, it
together.
doesn't
Yeah.
does
Yeah.
yeah like so like in other words it's this question with the DNA and whatnot like yeah DNA can like code and make proteins or whatever but like what tells them to stop where how to form an organ and and
Right.
all that other kind of stuff so like it seemed like crystals were like this intermediary like oh the plan is here somehow in the mother liquor or whatever
Yeah.
and it's telling these elements how to structure themselves or whatever
Mm.
so but like so I thought oh this is like this sort of like idea about this crystals being this sort of like in between of life, and it's mostly dispelled now. But like, there's nothing living about crystals, and they still haven't figured out how inorganic matter becomes organic or whatever. It's like it's unbelievably complicated. Like even the simplest form of DNA reproducible behind a Markov blanket or whatever is like insanely complicated. But anyways,
Yeah.
so yeah.
So when Lena reaches the lighthouse, she goes inside. She finds a charred body and like a video recorder sitting on a tripod. In the video, it's Kane calmly giving instructions for finding Lena before killing himself with a phosphorus grenade. Moments later, a duplicate of Kane emerges from behind the camera. And so I this is one of the scenes that I don't understand in this movie, and I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on it. So obviously, because we'll see this later, right? That the alien or whoever becomes the doppelganger of Kane, right? So number one, why is Kane giving the doppelganger instructions to find his wife? And then number two, why does he kill himself? Like those are the two things I'm like, I don't understand what's happening. Did the alien make him have like these like was it like mind control or was it I don't know, it's just
Or if he'd like
strange.
gone crazy, at that point, and
Yeah,
like, I don't
like
know.
I don't know.
No
Was
idea.
he transferring his consciousness? That's the other thing. Like, but I don't know like why he would do it. But that's why when the Kane copy goes, back, and they have like I don't know, remember if it's the very beginning or the flashback, but when he's like trying to figure out stuff, but he talks about her as a memory, like it's something that, and he's
Yeah.
just trying to
Yeah.
figure out like what did that memory mean and who is she?
Yes.
It was like,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
so I almost felt like there was an implication that it copied him until it then took over his consciousness, and then like that was like sort of that last stage, and maybe he was just like, okay, time for me to self-destruct and let the copy
Take
go on and
over.
do whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, so in the book, and this may be helpful or not, but that reverse tower that's barreling into the ground with living walls and living writing, and there's actually this like crawler thing that's like a slug and all kind of everything. That's basically the book's version of this weird mimic creature or whatever. And so, like in the book, when the psychologist, there's a whole bunch of stuff with it, but when the psychologist gets like taken by it, it's like really painful because it's like copying her memories. And
Hmm.
then like she thinks she's gonna die. She thinks she is dead. She's in and out of consciousness, and she thinks that like basically I don't know her identity is being stolen or whatever. Because in the book the slug thing or the crawler thing is actually a weird mutated version of who had been the lighthouse keeper. And so, like, once it gets all of her stuff, it like it like takes off, and it doesn't bother with her. Or well, she tries to take off, and she realizes it doesn't even care about her anymore. Like
Hmm.
after it's gotten all of her
When
memories
you
out of
say
her.
she, you're talking about Dr. Ventress? Is that who you're talking about?
I'm sorry, did I
Or
say the
Lena?
psychologist? There there
well,
there
she
Yeah.
was
was a
some stuff.
psychologist, right?
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
meant
Dr.
to
Ventress was a psychologist, but you
I
just
meant to
said
say the
she takes
biologist.
off.
I meant to say the biologist. So
Oh, okay.
Oh, Josie.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
okay.
right. Yeah, sorry. The
Okay.
Or
Natalie
Lena,
Portman
The one
person.
that
Yeah.
Lena, yeah,
No,
the
that's
in person.
Lena. Sorry. That's why I was like, who?
Oh,
You said
Josie's already a
you
tree at this
said
point.
she, and there's like five women in this movie. I was
yeah.
like trying to figure out who's the
Okay.
she.
Well, and I was thinking like because if you meant the psychologist, like in the movie, right? So she when they and I guess I'm
I
skipping a
didn't.
little
I
bit
meant the
ahead, but like
biologist, but anyways.
she like bursts into color or like turns into
Yeah. So yeah.
swirly.
So yeah. So that's what we're. That's yeah. So the next scene is Lena descends into the crater left by the meteor. She finds Dr. Ventress in a near dissolved state. Dr. Ventress speaks of the shimmer's unstoppable expansion before disintegrating into a radiant, bright mass, which is interesting. So the entity, so that big, bright mass, absorbs a drop of blood from Lena, and then from that little drop of blood forms a faceless humanoid creature that begins to mirror Lena's movements, right? Trapped in silence, Lena realizes that it isn't attacking her, it's becoming her, which I do like this part of the movie. I like seeing, Lena and this entity, humanoid, whatever figure, whatever alien, if you will, kind of mimic her and her trying, figuring out that this thing is turning into her, right? Um, Thinking quickly, she hands it a grenade that was left over from Kane's, when he had his grenades there. And this triggers a chain reaction that engulfs the entire lighthouse into flames. Lena is able to escape, and the shimmer begins to collapse in on itself and vanishing as suddenly as it appears. Back in the present, Lena's interrogation concludes. With the shimmer gone, Kane's condition stabilizes, but the man who returned is not quite the one who left. When Lena visits him, she questions whether it is truly Kane. He responds by asking if she is truly Lena. Neither answer. They embrace. And then the irises of their eyes begin to flicker as like a shimmer kind of thing, right? It kind of looks
Yeah.
like the shimmer itself, hinting that whatever came back with them may not be entirely human. And that is the end.
So we know for sure that Kane is like a alien, right? Okay, so
Yeah,
because you see him die, but then
yeah,
she is, we think, I'm pretty sure that okay, so she killed the copy, but she's infected with whatever or
right.
like mutated enough. And
But when
then
did that happen? That's my question.
well, I think they hinted at it like when when that scene when she's like, "Oh, I must have gotten a bruise from the alligator," and then
Yeah,
she goes into and she as she was looking at it, there was something weird about the bruise. I remember there was like some kind of weird thing about it. And then she was in she had was carrying her microscope or like maybe there was one there at the army base. And she looked at a drop of blood of her own
yes.
and
And it was
saw that she
shimmer.
was, yeah. And
Her
it was like
cells
all
were
oily,
shimmering.
shimmery. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think she knew pretty quickly that they were all infected as soon as they got in, or something, got into them. That
So, do you think, okay, that's an interesting point because that's what I wanted to ask you guys. So, do you think, because I think Kane clearly was a doppelganger, right?
right,
Kane in the ICU is the double Kane, right? Not the original Kane because we saw him kill himself with the grenade, right? But my question is Lena escapes. We see her, what we think is her, right? Escape the lighthouse that is imploding, what, right? So what you're saying, Andrea, is that instead of that being a doppelganger of Lena, it's actually Lena, but she's infected with the shimmer.
yeah,
Okay,
that's what I think
that's
happened.
a good point. That's a good point.
And I
Okay.
think, but then her acceptance of Kane, that was an interesting point, though, too. Like, okay, they got into, for me, that was an identity question then,
Hmm.
too. So she knows he's a copy.
Yes, yes. She knows
And,
he's a copy. Yeah.
but she's kind of like, well, I
Eh,
guess this is
eh.
pretty close. I'll just tell him. I won't tell him about the cheating part. I'll just, like the other
Right,
memories. I'll tell him everything else. And
right,
so, I thought that was sort of that to me, that's kind of what explained it is like her conclusion, Lena's conclusion was this is basically Kane because like he's pretty much exactly like it. He maybe like doesn't understand all of his memories, but you know, to her it was the same thing. But
right.
I don't know. But did you guys see that as well?
I mean, yeah, I guess that's where the movie, the end of the movie kind of throws me off because I can see it. I like your point of view, right? Yeah, I like that point of view. I just always I just was always trying to figure out like, is it actually Lena at the end or is it the doppelganger? Like we see Lena leave, but is that really Lena? You know what I'm saying? Or is it the copy of Lena that we see leave? We don't know. We have no
That's the identity
idea.
question in
And
the
I
book.
think that's, go ahead, Marty.
Oh, finish what you're saying. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
No,
cut you
I was
off.
just gonna say, and I think the ending is supposed to be ambiguous, but it also drives me
Yeah, for
crazy at the
sure.
same time, right?
Yeah. Because there's like even that part, like I think where it can get really questionable, right, is when up until like a certain point, the alien is or the copy is like a shimmery kind of weird skin.
Yes, right.
But when she hands it and she holds, the hands of it and handing the grenade, you see the skin's changing, the
Starts
face
to,
is
right,
changing. And I
right.
don't think there's a clean area. I mean, because she is a copy. Well, I guess she does kind of actually I take that back. So she steps back, the real Lena steps
Yeah,
back,
steps
and you actually
back.
do see her the grenade stays with the alien. And then the alien
Right,
as it's blowing up is turns back to its shimmery skin.
right,
So that's why
right.
I think Lena really is Lena, just an infected Lena.
Just a shimmer infected Lena. Okay, yeah, yeah. That I like that. I like that. I like that perspective.
Yeah, but I think
Okay.
the ambiguity needs to kind of stick so that if
Mm-hmm.
in the book, the question is, they have the doppelgangers, and the video that they see is not of somebody's crawling intestines in the book. The video that they have is of somebody being copied, and
Ah.
but very, hazily or whatever, trying to figure out what's going on. And most of the folks come back from the missions, but it's oftentimes it's not them; it's their doppelgangers that come back. And actually, the doppelgangers
Oh.
are more like who they were, because the original people all stay within the zone, and like Josie are like trees and stuff like that. The original, what you call it, biologist in the book is like this weird sea creature thing that seems to reflect to some degree her young life, looking in tidal pools and stuff like that. And she's not, that's her, but like that's the question of identity that's so ambiguous. It's like, in some sense, the doppelganger is more who she was than what she's become. And then there is this sort of ecstasy of reversing the positions, but like the people becoming the things or whatever. There's like another guy who becomes like some huge weird sea creature behemoth, and there's another guy who becomes like some lopping wolf-like thing or whatever. Like they seem, I don't know about happy, but this, it seems to somehow accord with their intentions. So sort of like thinking about free will in that way too is kind of weird. That's why there is this sort of ecstasy you get, I think, in the movie too, where people are like, "Wow, it's awesome" or whatever, into the transformation or whatever. But notice also that when might wonder, like, why does that? And this is not in the book at all, but why does the copy of Lena take the self destruct? And my personal little pet theory is like, because she's imitated Lena to the point where she's taken on her self destruction as well. So
Hmm.
like she's got a death drive now or something like that. But yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely don't. So like, it's like whether she's a copy or whether she's the original one, the one on the outside or whatever, even though her eyes are glowing, she's more like the original than perhaps the original is at that point, because that's the one that imitates, at least to some degree or whatever.
Well, and
So
she
there's
does
a
say, like, when she's asked, "Are you Lena?" I can't remember if she doesn't answer or just says, "I don't know."
yeah,
But there,
yeah,
they,
yeah.
so I think go ahead, you Charlotte. Like maybe there is, that intentional ambiguity even within herself. So she,
Right.
like, even through the process, so no matter if she's a copy or the real, thing, she's sort of
Yeah.
like, I don't know who I am.
I
Like
have
at
no
this point,
idea.
like
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And what does that even mean? Like how would
Yeah,
I
that's
identify
there we go.
myself?
Yes,
You know?
exactly. And what does that even mean, anyways, at this point? Exactly
Right.
right. And it also seems like there's a more ambiguity around, like, well, why would this thing blow up the whole zone or whatever, the shimmer altogether? It's like, or is it, like now it's everywhere? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so like it's either
Right.
now the zone is the whole Earth or something. I don't know, but like,
Yeah.
and
Because it
and
did
there's
walk
gonna be
around as it's burning and it's like, touch this, touch
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Right.
It's
uh,
like,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah.
like
I
stop,
don't
drop,
know.
and roll or get out of there. Like
Yeah.
burning your whole house down.
I
Mm.
know.
Touch the curtains, touch
Yeah.
the like,
Yeah,
Everything,
well,
yeah,
great. That's
everything it
great. Yeah,
touched was
like
like,
again, it's the contaminant is way out the box. Like, I mean, it's past even
right.
consideration at this point. Like, yeah, it's out. And in the book, I mean, in the movie, they make it real clear. I mean, the imagery of it, reminded me of like Satan falling like lightning or something like that. That was my maybe esoteric thing in the movie. That's probably the only esoteric thing. I don't think it was deliberately referring to that. It just was like meteor hitting the Earth or something like that. So it was like clearly an alien origin or whatever. And then this is,
yeah.
where the cosmic horror comes in to the whole thing because H.P. Lovecraft would mix esoteric religious themes with scientific themes all the time, which is very normal stuff as we know from vampires and Frankenstein, Dr. Faustus, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. It was like half science, half alchemy, half, like
Mhm.
esotericism
Yeah,
or
just enough
whatever.
science to like make some of the rest of it, like to
That's
get your
right.
brain there, I think too. Like, you'll be able
Yeah,
to like actually um absorb, some of the really wild fantasy part.
Right.
But
Right. Yeah. Yeah.